I think the overwhelming majority of you are in boot camp, although I invited some group boot camp alumni in. So if you're an alumni, welcome. Participate. We do this every other week, and I really, they keep my head in the game. They get me jazzed up, and the best part is that inevitably I get a phone call or an email from at least one attendee saying, hey man, I did this and it's working. So it's gratifying to hear when you put something into play. Now, I don't have all the answers. I try to give you new perspectives, but it certainly is exciting when, just like me in my business, I get stuck in the business. I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? And I reach out to my mentors, and they give me some new perspective or a solution I have not thought of. And I hope that's what I can do for you guys. We have some brand new boot campers, and I see some names here. Some brand new boot campers. Pam, you're in the house. So here's the deal. Let's get rolling right away. If you're here for the first time, welcome, new boot campers. This is an Ask Anything Hour. I am yours. My time is yours. It's your agenda. What's on your mind? You have a specific issue with a group you're working on, or something that's not working. Anything. Let me know. Bring it forward. Type it in. Now, make me really happy and tell me you want me to put your microphone on so we can hear your beautiful voice. You can ask the question or make a comment, and then I'll shut it back off again. But you have to tell me that you want your mic on. You have to do it at your end. I do it at my end. And it would be beautiful. Let me know. I'm happy to do it. Whoa, look how many people are coming in. How exciting. And what I want to do is start off with this that Karen had posted. I'm not sure Karen is on right now, but I want to read this to you because it is a doozy of an issue. I want to get your guys' feedback. Then, like I said before, I want to talk a little bit about the possibility of doing a boot camp here in Memphis, but I don't want to eat into our coaching time, right? That will come last. I do have 2 files open. If you want me to open them and discuss them with you all, that means I'm kind of setting the agenda, but I don't want to. I want you to. Let me know what's going on out there. How can I help? How can we all help share best practices, right? And so I have the Excel spreadsheet that's loaded up into Boot Camp. I don't know if you're using it. Is it working for you? I spent a great deal of time on the phone with an agent a week or 2 ago going through it because I realized not all of you use Excel on a regular basis. Some of you do, some of you don't. So it kind of looks foreign, even though I try to make it simple. Just plug in the number and it sort of works. But still, it could be intimidating, Excel. I also have I'm doing for next year to bring me back to do a 3rd group travel sales summit going down to Cancun in a couple of weeks. And I redid one of the programs, and it's about sourcing new groups. So I can review that with you guys. Most of the stuff you've heard, but maybe you'd forgotten. Maybe there's something new. I'm happy to review that with you guys, maybe to inspire some new thinking. And I think that's it. I wanted to start off, however, I'll read your messages in a second, so just keep typing away. And sometimes there's a delay because you may be typing while I'm talking, and I have to catch up. That I met with, you guys remember that I encourage you guys to set up, to launch a campaign of 15-minute meetings. I want to know, has anybody been doing it? Have you done a 15-minute meeting? Because one of the biggest issues of sourcing new groups, one of the biggest issues, you're not meeting enough new people. So one of the biggest opportunities is to get out, get up, and meet some new people. And I have told you countless times what I do, continue to do, have done for over 2 years now. I set up 15-minute meetings. And I cannot even begin to tell you the amazing people I've met and the business I've gotten. And I'm not selling anything. So I had one of those meetings this morning. He's another business coach here in Memphis. Well-established, great guy, former high-level executive in sales and marketing with a very major global brand. We had coffee this morning, and it was delightful. The 15 minutes turned into an hour. And he told me this story because he sometimes people say, well, coach, now listen, everybody, there is a connection. He said he gets questioned by business people saying, coach, what do I need a coach for? What good is a coach? I don't need a cheerleader. What do I need you for? And I wonder, friends, when's the last time somebody said to you, a travel agent, what do I need a travel agent for? Right? So let me share with you this story. He loves speaking in stories because it helps us to understand the point, get the message through an anecdote. You guys have all heard of Phelps, right? Phelps, right? The swimmer, the amazing multi-gold medal winning swimmer. Well, you know, he's been swimming for years, obviously. And do you think he knows what he's doing? Well, he does. Do you think he knows the general strokes? Well, he does. Do you think he knows breathing techniques? Well, he does. Well, do you think he knows how to win races? Well, obviously he does. Do you think he has a coach? Do you think he has a swim coach? Of course he does. He probably has more than one. So why does a guy who's proven himself, why does he need a coach if he wins? So the answer is he's in the water, the coach is on land, and that coach has helped him win, has helped him master breathing, has helped him master strokes, because the coach is observing and suggesting and making recommendations and tweaking so that he ups his game every time. If he had no coaches, he may have the body for it. He may have been born with a natural talent, but he probably wouldn't be where he is without his coach or coaches. And that's the same for your customers. When they say, what do I need a travel agent for? Well, it's just that. Oh, you can probably do it on your own. Of course you can. However, with me, as your coach, your vacation coach, your travel coach, your satisfaction coach, I'm going to make sure it's that much better. You won't miss a thing. Now, you've heard me say that before because that's what's happening, right? People out there are doing it on their own and they're making mistakes. They're coming back disappointed. They're missing out on things. So that's what a coach is for. That's what you're for, making sure that they maximize that time. So in his case, maximize his time in the pool so he wins. In your case, maximize their time on vacation so they don't miss. They don't come back disappointed. They don't feel cheated out of everything they could have possibly experienced. So I just wanted to share that with you because it really struck me as a great analogy for what you guys do. So before I dig in here to Karen's issue, I want to read some comments here. Hold on. Carolyn says, hey, great to be with you. Carolyn, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you. Sherry says, Excel drives me batty, but it's useful. I haven't seen the one in boot camp yet. Well, it is in boot camp, and I made it as a template, friends, so that you can use it, download it, own it, keep it, and use it. I'm wondering if we should have a session just on Excel, or I should say using that spreadsheet. Carolyn says, it's easy to pick up bad habits, and you don't see what you're doing different. Exactly. Right, and that's what a coach does. A coach helps you to be the best you can be, by definition, versus a consultant who tells you what to do. A coach listens to you, right? Partners with you, and that's what you do as a travel agent. Really, you guys are really travel coaches. I know you're actually making the booking and doing it, but you're also very much a coach. Nancy says, I will ask a few questions if you want to turn the mic on. Awesome. So I'll tell you what, Nancy, you're up next. I want to read this from Karen because it's a good one. And then, Nancy, I will come back to you and tell you when we can put your mic on. So here we go. Insurance for us, insurance for agents, you write. Scenario, your group leader bails at the last minute before your trip. If they are sick, you would get her money back. But the individual travelers will not get 100% back because they're not sick. Maybe they'd be covered by the cancel for any reason, but then only receive 50 to 75% back. So who's going to reimburse your travelers for the rest of what they've paid through no fault of their own? And Lena, I think you had made a comment on Facebook too that I think this had happened to you. So maybe you want to share as well. Or if we have prepaid non-refundable hotels, what do we do? Is there insurance we can purchase as travel agents to cover these contingencies? So the answer I know, of course, is absolutely yes. There is insurance you can purchase as an agent, sort of a liability insurance against a disaster happening should it fail. I was looking into this for my river cruise group, which was a charter. Remember, I did a partial ship charter, so I had some major risk because once I bought those staterooms, you don't get your money back. You own it. While with a group, of course, you have different levels of cancellation penalties and consequences. But in that case, it was all or nothing with me. Now, I took a really big risk. I did not take out insurance. But there are companies that offer. Now, some of the existing travel companies we have today might offer it, and I'm going to check into that. In fact, I have a call with Isaac Simrot from the Travel Insured tomorrow morning, and I'm going to find out if he does or where he recommends to go if he does not. But I have a couple of, I want to see if you guys have any comments or thoughts. Then I want to give Karen and you guys my thoughts on this. It's one thing to have the insurance, it's altogether another to prevent it from happening. So number one, if you're building friends, if you're building a group around a key person, if the affinity, listen to me carefully, if the affinity, the magnet, the draw is a key person, if they're the celebrity, if there's the leader, if they're the author, whatever they may be, then the risk is very high because nobody else can be them, right? When I did the New York Giants football cruise, and it just so happened that they won the Super Bowl that year. But that was the good news, not the bad. That was good, but not entirely good. What happens is most of the players we had signed up to go on the cruise went down to play in the, what's it called, the Pro Bowl? It was at the same exact time as our cruise. So we had to get other players. So the good news was that we had the Giants. The bad news was the original players couldn't come. Now, the way it works with big shot celebrities is that, and I've seen this time and time again on the contract, it says scheduled to appear. So that means you're signing a contract with them scheduled to appear, which usually gives them an out for almost any reason not to show up, which really stinks. That's very, very, very high risk. And if you're going to go with somebody that big, you definitely want to get major insurance. And then you're going to have to put that same line in your consumer contract. Hear me out now, scheduled to appear. But you're also going to have to provide a fill-in, a substitute. And you need to know this in advance so you're not scrambling at the last minute. Is it somebody who's already going who could fill in? Or do you have somebody lined up and you've had a discussion with them that they'd be willing to do it on a last minute's notice? Very risky when the whole group is built around one person. And then if you put scheduled to appear, consumers may not book it because, well, what if I book it and they're not there? What do I do? So whenever you build a group around one person, you definitely want to really make sure that contract guarantees their presence. And if they're not going to be there, that they will provide an adequate substitute. Easier said than done. I know, I get it. But friends, you got to protect yourself. Now, when I send out a speaker's contract for me, they're hiring me. They're not hiring Sam down the block. They're hiring Stuart. Now, what if, God forbid, I get sick or, the planes get delayed due to weather and I'm not there? It's a problem. Well, that's different because that's day of. That's close to. But what if I'm ill and I can't make it? In my contract, it says that I will provide a comparable substitute. Me. So wouldn't it be great that you know this in advance, friends, and if it's built around this one key person, that they are responsible for providing adequate, because then the burden's on them. They're liable for it. I know still risky, But at least I know I have a list of other speakers who I know, who I would trust, would do a bang-up job. Stuff happens, friends. And unfortunately, some people do bad things and they say, oh, I got a better offer here, I'm not coming. That's bad. But sometimes things happen in their family or with them personally, and it could happen. Now, all of you on the line right now have done groups before. Has this ever happened to you? What have you done? But I guess what I'm trying to say is there are things you can put in place to protect yourself and the consumer. But before you sign a group agreement letter, which of course I know you will do 100% of the time, I know you will, you think twice, think 3 times, think 4 times about building a group around one key person, because it's dangerous. Now, I know you could probably say, oh, there used to be Richard Simmons cruises. Oh, there used to be, all these famous cooks and celebrities and chefs and stuff that do it. Yeah, most of the time it works out just fine. But Karen's got a situation now where what do? I mean, if she goes back and refunds everybody, they're not going to get a full refund. She could be at a huge loss. I don't believe she has that kind of insurance. And I just don't know enough about your group, Karen, to know if it's all built around that one person or if it's not such a big deal that you can get a substitute or make sure that you go to be the group leader. Sometimes your group leader is just there to coordinate stuff, right? So people are going to be disappointed. Oh, Karen, such and such isn't going. But we're still going because we have this event planned. We have this activity planned. So the whole trip doesn't circle around one person. It circles around the event itself. So the more you can put it around an event versus a person, I think the better. Let me see if we got any questions here. Lena says, Lena, I very much appreciate you sharing this. I did a wine tour to South Africa with a local wine shop, which was a huge success. The tour included visits to a lot of wineries where a wine shop owner imported wine from her shop. The group received VIP treatment. The wine shop owner requested to do another one the following year. I put it together, printed promotional materials, etc. I had a lot of people ready to book when I found out that the wine shop owner met a guy on the flight home and decided not to come home. Wow! Oh my goodness! Seriously. And decided not to come home. So that was it. The next trip was off the table. So my guess is you hadn't taken any money from anybody yet, Lena. So you were able to sort of cancel it before it actually happened. But what a bummer. I mean, things happen. Life happens. And we can't, if we have nothing but expectations of other people doing things we want them to do, we're going to be in big trouble, right? The only thing or only people we control is ourselves. I hope you can control, predict, and manage yourself. I know you can. But we can't control others. It's a risky business. Carolyn says people will always disappoint you. And you know what? When we have expectations, we set ourselves up for disappointment. I'll say it again. When we have expectations, we set ourselves up for disappointment. Because even though we have an oh, they're going to deliver big, oh, they're going to do this, they've got their own life they're dealing with, and they get busy. Life gets in the way. Sometimes it's natural. It's an organic situation. Sometimes it's not. They may not be good people. But that's why we can only have high expectations of ourselves. Sorry to get a little, spiritual there with everybody, but I really think it's true, and I agree with you, Carolyn. We can only hope for the best. Truth. All right, Nancy, coming back to you now. Before we go on to the next thing, I want to know if you're ready for me to turn your microphone on, Nancy. So I'm going to watch the board here. See, I wish you guys could see what everybody types in. Unfortunately, the GoToWebinar application doesn't allow that. Okay, Nancy. So here we go. Everyone stay tuned, because first I have to find Nancy, and I'm going to send you a. There you are. Hang on, Nancy. This is what always happens. It's going to freeze for a minute, then it's going to come back on. Man, you got to love it, and maybe not. This GoToWebinar stuff, because sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and it's still frozen. So hold on. I'm waiting for it to unfreeze, Nancy. Give me just a second. Isn't that crazy? Unbelievable. It's still frozen. Hang with me. Hang with me, everybody. And while you're waiting, let me see what else, what our next topic is going to be after Nancy, so that we're queued up. If you want to see that sourcing new groups PDF, or talk about the Excel spreadsheet, or the boot camp, or whatever else is going on in your world, I want to know. We're still frozen. I'm trying, Nancy. I'm trying. So you can bet I'm going to call GoToWebinar right after this, because this is annoying. This is precious time you're giving me here. So let me see if anybody's typed in anything else underneath. Nope, not yet. Okay. So Nancy, we're going to, there we go. Unmute Nancy. Here we go. Wow. All right, Nancy. Nancy, it's not showing me that you have a mic. There you go. Nancy, you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I certainly can. We all can hear you, Nancy. Thank you so much for putting your mic on. Appreciate that.
Oh, you're welcome, Stuart. Thank you for turning it on.
Sure.
So I just got back from, better part of a week in Tennessee visiting my family, so that was nice. Yay. Nice break. Yeah. Before I left, I had a meeting with a couple of people. I work out of a co-working space because I think I mentioned I have figured out with their help that I actually have 4 businesses, and it's a wonder. I've been overwhelmed to say the least. Part of it is that I have individual clients, repeat clients, and referrals that I help plan their own independent vacations when I don't travel. Yeah. And I also started this business to help work on small group international tours. I've been to Africa the last 2 years, and that type of thing is what I wanted to do most of. In the process, I've also done some local trips with buses from Portland, Maine, where I live, up to New York, or up to Quebec City and down to New York City, and even to Washington D.C. last January for the big march. And also listening and being a member of boot camp, I know how important it is to be reaching out to the affinity groups. So I'm just trying to prioritize. So I'm just wondering what other people are, how they handle it. Yeah. And also the spreadsheet. One of these people that is in the co-working space, who's currently just using it as a networking place, and has agreed to help me with the spreadsheet for timing. But that's why I wonder, are there more than one? Like the other one I think we were discussing was how to price groups out, the net pricing on group tours. But I wasn't sure if there's also like a group launch spreadsheet for when to, I know that the group launch sequence. Right. Okay. But is there a spreadsheet for that too? So that's that's all that's going on.
Let me tell you that there is not a spreadsheet for group launch sequence, although that's an interesting concept, something that would help provide more structure for everybody to do the group launch sequence. Even though everyone's sequence is going to be different, the structure is always the same. So I'm going to take that under advisement to see, and it may not have to be in Excel, but it may be some kind of a Word document where it's a template, but it could just sort of plug and play into
like
the
a calendar.
Yeah.
A calendar for, when to start the motivation, and then when the prices are due, when the deposits due, all that stuff. That's kind of different than the initial pricing out of the group. Anyway.
Okay, I like that. I like that idea. Backing up, and everyone, also, if you wouldn't mind sharing, if you have any thoughts or comments on how you prioritize, if you're running multiple businesses, or if you're running a business and a family, whatever it is, how do you prioritize? And I'm going to take a shot at that too. And Nancy, regarding the general spreadsheet that's in boot camp now, that won't net something down for you, but it's where you actually would plug in the net. So let's say, the cruise line or hotel gives you a price that includes the commission. You would need to take that commission out. It's easier to net it down and plug that net number in. And does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So you want me to put you back on mute, Nancy, and we'll take a shot? I'll give you some answers, and we'll see what everyone else has to say as well.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Nancy. Appreciate you being on very much. All right. We're gonna mute Nancy. That was awesome. I love it when Nancy or somebody, I know Sam always likes to put a mic on. We get to hear your voice. Thank you very much. So in terms of the reason why the Excel spreadsheet, first of all, won't net down for you, I mean, I could do that, and then what you'd have to do is, so there'd be two boxes. The first unit, the first cell, if you will, you would enter the price point that you've been given, the rate that you've been given, which includes a commission. Enter that. The next cell, you would enter the commission. 15%, 20%, 10%, and then the answer would calculate to what the net is. I mean, I could do that, but my guess is most of you probably already know how to do that now, so you see what the profit margin is. But I can absolutely do that. That's easy to do. Because the reason why it's essential that you neutralize all the numbers is because you don't want to enter some numbers net and some numbers with the commission on, because it's going to mess up your profit margins. You could end up overinflating the price point, and it's going to mess you up. The harder part, friends, I've always seen, is calculating, adding a commission. You know, how do you add a 20% commission? Now that cheat sheet, that there's numbers in boot camp too that will help you do that. It's not an exact science how to mark up. It's a general science. Like it could be multiply that. Let's say your net number is 1,000. You would multiply it by 1.8, whatever it is, and that's in boot camp. And if you want me to put that in Facebook again, on the Facebook page so you guys can see it, I'm happy to do that. What's great is you have all those net numbers, you add them all up, because then that's the net price of the whole package, and then you put on a 25% commission, 30% commission. You know, you can in Excel you can do variables. What does it look like at 25? What does it look like with a 30% markup? Will the consumer pay this price point with a 30% markup? Okay, and forget about what the cruise line, the tour operator is paying you in commission. And what's great is, like Lena, I know that you were looking to add on your own excursions in destinations. I think it was Sardinia or Croatia. I wasn't familiar with it, and I couldn't help you there. But you're hopefully they may give you net numbers, and then which is real easy. And then you just mark it up as you see fit. But really, the hardest part of the spreadsheet that I cannot predict for you is whatever your TC program is, and that's important to know, because that either you may be giving that back to the group, or you may be keeping that as pure profit, right? But you never want to bank on that, because if you don't hit the TCs and you've already discounted the price based on that, you're in trouble, unless it's an established affinity group and it's a guarantee how many people are going. You know what I mean? Let me see, because we have some, and then I want to talk about prioritizing, Nancy, which was the first thing, because I have multiple businesses, and I'm going to show you exactly what I do. Okay, Lena says, I'm interested in looking into chartering a yacht, but a little nervous about committing to take on the financial responsibility without knowing for sure that I can fill as many cabins as I will need to fill. People always say that are interested until they have to pay. I couldn't agree with you more, and I want to come back to that and give you a couple of thoughts, Lena. Hold on to that. This is Carolyn is making a comment on the group loan sequence. A basic timeline would be great. I hear you. Let me think about how I can create a sort of a calendar template for group loan sequence. Great idea. Carolyn says she marks it up per person. I get it, and that's yeah, absolutely, mark it up per person. Net it down, mark it up. So you do it on top of the commission. All right, whatever makes it easier for you. That might be confusing, but you need to feel comfortable with the methodology you use. So Lena, let me come back to you. So let me tell you how I do, and understand that I have we all have different minds. All of our minds work differently. I like to operate in a little bit of a state of chaos. That's just me. The more I have going on, the more productive I am. The more deadlines I have, the more productive I am. I know it sounds crazy, but that's me. Everybody works different. Okay. I am not going to show you what my desk looks like right now because you would say, holy cow, that's insane. Okay. But the way I prioritize the first thing that's really important, number one, Nancy, and this is for everybody, is I only want to make sure I do what I really love to do. That's the very, very first thing I do, because I don't want something on my to-do list. Here's the to-do list that I'm working off of right now, and it changes. So, this is one of the key things that I have that I use is my to-do list. And when I sit down each morning, I highlight in the marker what I'm going to get done that day. And if I don't, the next morning it's still highlighted. I know I got to get it done. And when I have enough things crossed out and how much joy crossing it out, then I start a new list. I haven't done the highlights on this yet. But number one is what I really love doing. And I make sure that that just sets the stage for staying focused on stuff I love to do, which means nothing is going to be procrastinatable. Oh, that's a good word, procrastinatable. I'm not sure it's a word, but I made it up. Because the things we procrastinate on are things we don't love to do. Number one. Number two, I really look at profitability, the opportunity, because nobody sends me a paycheck like most of you. I provide my own paycheck. I love that challenge. I love that responsibility to me and my family. And so I always look at, for every hour I'm working, what's the payoff? Where's that going to pay off? So that's the number two thing I do. And the number three thing I do to help me prioritize is by doing this one task. Does it have any legs to it? Is it just a one-shot, one-time deal and that's it? And it's not going to go anyplace else? Or by doing this task, will it help me to do more things? Let me give you a case in point. I have a book on loyalty, this book right here, okay? And it's always been a booklet, all right? 36 pages. It's nice, it's great, but it could be a lot better. It could have anecdotes and stories and be more of a full book, and that's been a goal of mine. Now, I keep putting it off because when I sell the book, I don't make a lot of money, but I make a few dollars here and there. It's nice, as my friend Mike says, it's pizza money, it's beer money, and believe me, I love it. It's terrific, and but I know I want it to be a big book, and wouldn't be great to really publish it big time and make a lot of money, but I keep bumping it down. However, whenever I have a gig coming up, and the gig is on loyalty, which I do have coming up here in Memphis actually, with the Mast group, I ask, hey, how about let's give a gift to the agents? I'll give out my book and I'll do a book signing. And that's how I end up selling a few hundred books at a time, which is lovely. But so let me tie this together for you, Nancy, and everybody else. Now, I could have very simply just done the same book, but that inspired me to begin expanding the book and making big changes. So I've already gone from 36 to 52 pages. So now the book has more value. I had a reason, a fire under my behind to begin the rewrite process. And now I have a real binder, and it's a much more thicker book. So I knew that if I got John to agree to buy these books for his agents wholesale, that I would really buckle down and begin to write the new book, which I have. And now it's going to be even more saleable for the future. So I make sure that every step I take leads me down more than one path. Does that make sense? And what I will show you, if I can, hold on there. I'm going to show you my whiteboard. Do you guys use a whiteboard? Hold on. There it comes. There's my whiteboard, and there's my light. Okay. I love staring into that whiteboard every day to make sure I don't get off course because I am easily distracted, Nancy. I'm easily distracted. Squirrel. So I need that whiteboard and I need my notebook so that I am disciplined. Now, I don't know if you saw it, but in the middle of my board is the word discipline. And earlier this year, I told you guys my keyword, and this was inspired by all of you when we had this goal setting meeting. My keyword is discipline because I'm not only going to continue to expand boot camp I mean, it's good revenue for me and I love it to pieces. I'm going to expand my speaking business, but I'm launching 2 new companies this year. One is called Solopreneur Network, which I had to put on hold for 6 months, but is back in the game. And number 2, well, I haven't made this public yet, but and there's nothing out there yet, but it's called Happy Yoga Mats. It's going to be happyyogamats.com. Don't look for the website; it's not there. But it's a very unique line of really cool. So it's not in travel; it's different. But and I also have group travel bulletin. Plus, I do Memphis Coaches Network here. So, like you, Nancy, I got a million things going on. But the number 1, stuff I love to do. Number 2, stuff that's going to feed the family. Okay. And number 3, doing stuff that leads to something else. Every action I take can lead to even greater things, not just one payoff, but multiple. I don't know. Does that make sense? Because what you might need is a business coach, Nancy. Have a one-on-one relationship with a business coach who doesn't tell you what to do, listens to you, and coaches, gives suggestions, helps lead you down the path that you need to go. You know, it's a really cool, business coach is a great thing. I'm a business coach, but I really don't, I'm not taking on any, and I'm not trying to sell me or anybody else, but it's an idea. Lena said, I just read the other day that people with the highest IQ have extremely messy desks and stay up late. Well, Lena, I don't know if you meant to flatter me, but the bottom line is I really don't have a high IQ. I really don't. I got a lot of ambition. I got a lot of drive, but I'm really not that smart. My wife is a lot smarter than me. My kids are smarter than me. I'm just saying, I'm just a salesman. And I just have the gift of gab. The Dale Carnegie book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, that's the level of book that I can read and understand. Lena says, messy desk, not merry. I know. LaDonna said, I use a whiteboard too. Need a big one. You bet. Get that big whiteboard, man. I got to tell you something. I use it. Major league. All right. Now, so tell me, Nancy, did that help at all? Because the problem, Nancy, is I think you need to really, with you, we need to get micro, very specific. If you've got 4 businesses running, I almost think you should work with a business coach, once a week for a month or 6 months. It's worth the investment because they'll help increase your performance, your productivity by helping you focus on what matters most. Because me giving you general stuff like this, it's general stuff like this. It's not specific to you and your business. Now, I want to read Lena's here again. Listen, everybody, I mentioned charting a yacht, but a little nervous about coming to take the financial responsibility without knowing for sure that I can fill as many cabins as I will need to fill. People always say they are interested until they have to pay. And there's no doubt about that, Lena. I will tell you, before I did my river cruise partial ship charter, I had the same trepidations. Why do you think I haven't done a boot camp here in Memphis? Because I have the same trepidations. And I'm thinking Memphis only because at least I don't have to fly someplace and I don't have hotel costs. I live here, and I think Memphis would be a good pull versus everyone else has conferences on ships, which is great, or at resorts. That's great too. But who comes to Memphis? Maybe that would be a pull. So about the risk, I almost think, Lena, that you may want to do a tester. You want to do a partial group launch sequence. You ask questions, send out some surveys, get a good feel. Now, push comes to shove, you don't know until they put up money, if they're going to go or not. And I would really do this. And this would be a fun exercise if you want to do this together or do this on Facebook, or do this on our next gathering. But you know that viability test, the group viability test, this is the truth, Lena, and everybody listen to me. You know, this was, I think, in week 1 of group boot camp. The group viability test, there's 10 key questions. It's sort of a know before you go test to see if it's going to be worth it. You know, and there are so many things there, like, is the affinity strong enough? And here's the question, Lena, I'm going to ask you to ask yourself. Is the affinity strong enough to convince people to go on that yacht, on those dates, that itinerary, with people they may or may not know? I'm not sure. Pay that kind of price point. There's so many ifs. I mean, when we do a group, friends, we're normally asking people to travel at a time and perhaps with people, or to a destination, or pay a price point they've never done before. We're asking a lot of people. So that's why the affinity has to be strong. Okay. How about reach, Lena? How are you going to reach these people marketing wise? Because if you tell me, well, you're going to do some advertising in some magazines or publications or on websites, I'm going to say that may not happen. Because a true affinity type group, friends, is going to have some kind of a gathering spot. When I say gathering spot, I don't necessarily mean physical, though that would be great if you can attend one of their big meetings where hundreds of people show up. But I'm talking socially, on the internet. Do they have a private Facebook group where they all gather, they hang out? Are they connected on Instagram? Are they connected on Twitter? Do they have a website? Are they members on a list of somebody else's website? How will you reach them? Will it cost you money to reach them? Then that's a problem. If you have to run advertising, that's not an affinity group. Could be a speculative group. You're running a risk. Is there a leader, a group leader, or are you going to be the group leader? And is it because you're going to travel and people just want to travel with you? I have so many questions for you, Lena, but these are part of that group viability test. All right, and why yacht? Is it something you want to do, or is it something that people express interest in doing? And I believe if you do the 10-step group viability test and come off saying check, 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 check 10 times, and if you start the process early enough, and it could be 2 years before, Lena, I'm not sure when you're looking to launch this group, but let's suffice to everybody on the line right now. And you sort of start this survey or this whisper campaign, and you can't come out with price points. You cannot. And I know what you're probably saying, but Stuart, well, what if they've never traveled on a yacht before? How would they know how much it is? Well, you got a choice here. Excuse me. You can either give a price range and make sure that when you do announce your price, it's at the lower part of that range. Okay, that's a little risky because then you really have to know your prices before you go. Because if you can't come in that range, you're in big trouble because it's going to be too high. But Lena, you said 6 months ago, you said the price points were going to be here and here, and it's higher. Or you can give some examples of other yacht type trips. And you know what people are going to do? They're going to fire up their old laptop, fire up the old phone. Where's my phone? I don't even know where it is. It's lost on my desk. And they're going to research themselves. They're going to see that, and I'm just making this up, that a yacht trip runs $5 grand, 10 grand, 15 grand. They'll do the research. And they'll know if they're going to be in or not. And also, the homework you're going to do is budget the people you're talking to here, the prospects. Where have they traveled before? That's part of the group viability test. What's their history? Have they gone on similar type trips before? What budgets have they paid? So, will it be sticker shock, or will it be something that's already within their expenditures that they've done before? So the key is to remove those obstacles. If you successfully remove all those obstacles, well, price is not going to be an issue because they've been spending this kind of money before. They already stay at Four Seasons hotels. And number two, well, they love going away for more than 7 days because all their other trips were for around 10. And number three, well, they've traveled before together, so we know they like each other a lot because they all hang out. They're all part of an online group, and they have blah blah blah. Is that helping at all? Tell me. I want to help you through this, because if you decide to do it, and if I can help not make the decision for you, but give you things to think about, what can go right, what can go wrong, I want to do that because it sounds like an exciting thing to explore. And can you get sponsors? Can I just say this before I read on more questions? Is there an opportunity to get strategic partners? So you're actually, if you join forces with another organization or a brand, either that brand has so much clout and integrity that people, it's another reason for people to say, yes, I am going because that brand is involved. Or does that brand or local business or other organization have their own list of people, right? So Lena, so you're not just marketing to one group of people, one pool, one universe of prospects, but you're marketing to two universes, two groups of prospects. So instead of marketing to 1,000 people, now you've got 2,000 people, and you've now doubled the chance that you're going to sell out, because now you've got two databases of people who it would make sense for them to travel together. They'd both equally be interested in being together. Now, of course, I don't know the affinity here, Lena. So maybe it's impossible. Maybe you're shaking your head laughing saying there's no way they would travel with them, but maybe. Maybe it depends if they know each other or not, or if it's sort of the connecting affinity is a hobby or a thing or a person or a celebrity or an activity versus a family reunion where you can't combine families, can you? Let's see what we got. Let's see here. Lynn said, Stuart, what's on the whiteboard that's not in the notebook? Okay, great question. So my whiteboard is big picture stuff. My whiteboard is big picture. Like I have on there a business called Healthy Sexy You, which is a business that my wife and I are going to start in several years from now. If anybody follows me on Facebook, you know I do the Salad Sunday thing, and I don't have time to. I wish I had more time, but I don't have time to do more posts. We're both integrative health coaches, so that's long term. So on the whiteboard, I always see it there, so I know that's big picture stuff. Plus, it's not just business. I have real estate stuff that I do too. So it basically, I can look up on this board and I can see everything that's going on in my life right now, aside from family. Okay, I have a thing called people. There's people up there who I meet regularly for coffee, and I always want to remember to meet them regularly because they're important people to me, or I am to them, and I want to stay connected. Okay, it lists my books are what I want to do with my books, and if it's something that I'm not working on now, Lynn, it won't make this list. So this list is stuff that I want to get done either within the month or within the week or the day, because I usually try to update this list every week. Does that make sense? So there's not long-term big stuff here. This is immediate. And by the way, that's business stuff and that's personal stuff. That's personal stuff. So this is stuff to remind me, this is family stuff I need to do, people to call, stuff with my kids. You know, my daughter's getting married in the fall, so the stuff I'm helping to arrange, blah, 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 blah. Okay, this is business stuff here that I want to get done at least within the month, the week, or the day, and the board has everything. You know, does that help? Does that help? That help. Lena said, I will be the group leader and would go as well. I posted some pictures and some info and had a lot of people from a lot of people from my people I know who said they were interested. Okay, many do not know each other. I think the price would be less than what most people expect. Well, that would be great. So you're doing a great thing here. You're putting out information, general information, You're not selling anything. You're not asking people to sign up for something. You're going fishing. You're just putting out bait. You're giving out free stuff. Remember, I teach you guys one of the best ways to build your business is to give out free stuff. So you're giving out information. And the more people that sort of subscribe or sign up and follow these posts about this kind of a trip, you know you've got people interested. And they're not going to subscribe to these posts. They're not going to take your free PDFs or your free information, Lena, if they feel like they're obligating themselves. Remember this, everybody. If you ask a question like, would you go on a private yacht tour in September of 2019? That's a heavy-duty question. People won't even answer that because they don't want to obligate themselves. They don't even know the price point. They don't even know. They won't sign it. So just, friends, pepper them. Pepper with stuff. And see who's interested. See if you have a following. You're doing great stuff. I love it. And the fact that the price point probably is going to be coming lower, you may have a home run. Lena says, love the idea of a strategic partner. Man, I'm all about strategic partnerships. That's why for my boot camp, I haven't made a move yet because I'm trying to figure out, can I get a strategic partner? To be honest with you, I would get a strategic partner, a supplier. Now, you know, in boot camp, it's commercial free. But if I can get a few suppliers, but they would have to agree to promote because my list is only so big. But if they get the word out as a strategic partner, okay, and they get to send their experts, then I think the whole will be even greater than the sum of the parts. That's why I haven't made a move yet. That's what I'm thinking of doing. Nancy said, thank you, Stuart. All good advice, and we'll look into business coach. Do you have any recommendations for the travel industry? This seems to be what I think I need, but maybe just a general business coach is okay. Absolutely. A general business coach would be fine. And the first place I would say is look local. See if you have if there's any local business coaches to help, because it's nice to meet with the person one-on-one. That would be wonderful. If not, let me know because you let me see. It would be my pleasure to see if I can recommend. I don't know if Mike Marshev is doing one-on-one business coaching as well. I'm not right now, but I can certainly give it some thought. Because sometimes having an outside business coach who doesn't really know the travel business, they just know business in general, sometimes that could be a big help, a big bonus too. But of course, somebody who's in the industry is going to be an enormous help as well. Hope that helps. Lynn says, yes, thank you. Good. I'm glad. Okay, we've got 7 minutes left. Don't leave me. Stay with me. So I asked before, let me just go down my list there. I asked before if any of you have been set up any 15-minute meetings. Now, the last thing you need is for me to give you guys a challenge. You got enough challenges. But so it's something else I want to show you too. Try it. If you can't do it every day, that's a lot to ask. Set a goal. Put it on your list to set up one 15-minute meeting a week. Just one a week. I had mine this morning with Eric. He's a local business coach, very, very accomplished. I made a new friend. I didn't sell him anything. He didn't sell me anything, but we're friends. Okay. And he said to me, he said, hi, Stuart, I understand you don't do one-on-one coaching. So I'll tell you what, if you get any calls for one-on-one, send them my way. I'll see if I can help. And he said, Stuart, if I get with any of my clients, if they need a speaker or a trainer, I'll send them your way. There you go. You see what happens. The other thing I want to show you is how things work beautifully when you make a suggestion. I did a training in Dallas a couple of weeks back for a company having nothing to do with travel called Sanity Professional. They make FDA-approved wipes in the food industry. So these are the wipes that clean tables. These are the wipes that clean equipment. And they kill bacteria, this kind of stuff, because the whole idea is to replace the rag and bucket. You know what rag and bucket is? You know what? I know you do. That's when, right before you sit at a table in a restaurant, that bucket full of disgusting, grotesque water comes out, and they take that gross, disgusting rag, and they wipe down the table, and you're not really sure it's any cleaner than when you started, because in that rag is everybody else's dirt. I know, gross, right? Gross. So they're trying to make the rag and bucket obsolete, and they make these wipes. It's professional. They also make other wipes for consumers too. So one of the things that they were not doing that I suggested is you got to start a letter writing campaign to your existing clients to tell them you love them, show them your appreciation for their business, and to ask for referrals, and to make sure they know you're in their pocket. And if there's clients, because they work with some big clients, Chick-fil-A, Starbucks, this kind of stuff, and local restaurants too. Who's writing letters? I told them, there's a client you want to get in the door, you start a letter writing campaign. No email. Phooey. And so guess what? I get home from my gig and I get 2 thank you cards. 2 thank you cards from 2 of the attendees, which is so cool. And even the general manager, the person who runs the division, said, I personally learned a lot from you, and I'm starting with writing letters. And this is a person, the leader of that division, multi-million dollar division, comes out of big brands like P&G, this kind of stuff. So just when I thought everyone knew about writing handwritten letters, I was wrong. Now, I'm sure she knew, but she probably forgot and didn't realize that it's still important. Friends, so number 1 was the 15-minute meeting. Number 2, when's the last time you send a handwritten thank you card, a little note to somebody who's already been doing it? Don't take them for granted. And my loyalty book, it teaches you that the minute you get paid, listen to me, friends, the minute you get paid by a client, they pay you, it's booked, it's done, you're fired. You're not rehired until they hire you again to do the next trip. So how do you get yourself rehired? Well, you send cards, you send letters, love letters. I miss you. How's everything? Hey, I found this article. This may be of interest to you. You keep in touch. Don't tell me you don't have enough time. Make time to do it. I buy from, I don't remember if I get it from Michael's or Hobby Lobby or Amazon. I don't remember. So I was just experimenting. I buy these recycled blank cards, and sometimes I'll run it through my printer. If you can think big, I will help you do big. Sometimes I put a logo on the back. Not always. But I have, here's the package. There you go. Right here. See, it's Craft Smooth A2 cards and envelopes right there. Cheap as can be. All day long, I'm sending out these cards. And I know they're making an impact. And the best part was that one time I met somebody who's amazing, an amazing speaker, an amazing business coach too. And we had coffee together, and our thank you cards crisscrossed. So I sent her an email saying, thank you for your card. And she sent me an email, thank you for your card. It was hilarious. In any case, powerful stuff. Let me see what else we got here. Carolyn says, FYI, any meeting lets you see what others post. Oh, any meeting versus GoToWebinar. Interesting. I never even heard of any meeting. Fascinating. Thank you, Carolyn. Nancy, maybe Nolan could be your strategic partner. That's entirely possible. Now, I know Nolan has he's doing a lot of work with an organization that may prohibit him from doing external projects, but Nolan is a friend, and I certainly could ask him. I think it's a great idea. All right, what have we got? It's time. It's time right now. Any last minute? We're going to do a 15-second countdown. Stay with me. Last minute thoughts, comments, suggestions. Yes, I agree. Nolan is amazing. He is amazing. I love him. He's awesome. I haven't seen him in a while, but the greatest joy I have is seeing him when we're doing a gig at the same time in the same city. Carolyn said, she'll come to Memphis. Cool. Jenny said, great info as always. I am so glad. All right, we got 5 seconds left. 5 seconds left, friends. I'm so glad you came today. If there's anything we didn't get to that you want to know, let me know. Post it in Facebook. But I am so grateful for you. Get those 15-minute meetings going. Start a letter writing campaign and overwhelm your clients and prospects. And remember that the minute you get paid, you're fired, and that client becomes an unclient. It's not their job to stay with you, to keep booking with you. You don't own them. You rent them. You lease them. So get those cards out. Ooh-wee, look at all these. Andrew says, thanks for the thoughts and inspiration. You got it, Andrew. Thanks for being here. Oh, Carolyn, that's very sweet. I love you too. I do. Lynn says, bye. Marty says, let me know if Memphis Group Boot Camp, I'll sponsor 2 of my agents to come. Cool. Thanks, Marty. Bye-bye, gotta run. Yes, good info from Sherry. Thank you. Loved it today. You got it, Chad. Okay, we are done. Over and out. Thanks, everybody.